Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Matthew, and today we're going to be talking about the ROI revolution for your building your tech sales engine. We've got quite a few people here recognizing the fact that we're one day before Easter, so there's going to be a few people who are not going to be able to make it, but I really appreciate your time. My goal today is to make sure there's a really high value conversation where we get into the actionable insights, the nitty gritty, the bits and pieces that you can go ahead and take away today, or maybe not today, maybe after Easter, but you can take away and actually drive some ROI from your marketing. You know, lots of people and lots of my clients are software and technology people. So there's a thinking there that, well, you know, you do some programming, you do some work, and you know, 1 + 1 does equal 2. And somehow marketers over the course of the last, well, however long you've been engaging with marketing, seems that there's been a dilution or a lack of enthusiasm from marketers to talk about return on investment. And look, I've been guilty of that in the past. I used to run content marketing. So and content marketing is a fine strategy and a fine way of executing on getting your message out. But we do have some challenges around that when it comes to really pinning down the money we've spent and the returns we've created from our sales and recurring revenue. Now, I'm not just going to talk about sales. We are talking also about clients who return, referrals. Great place to look for ROI, and also we want to talk about and the only reason you get referrals is because you're doing an exceptionally good job and your product is good. So I'm not devaluing I'm taking it as table stakes, as an accepted truism that you've got a good product and you can provide great service. That's not the place I live in. I live at the front end of the deal, where we want to take people who don't know who we are and we bring them all the way through the process to giving us some money to do what we do best. Let's get into it. Lots of slides, lots of information to share with you today. I want to make sure this is really high value for those that have actually spent time with us, lots of time. And I was saying to a client just the other day, oh, by the way, for those of you who just joined us, the chat box doesn't work in this webinar, but the Q&A box does. If you want to ask me a question, throw it in the Q&A box. I'm looking at it over here on my screen, and anybody who's attended webinars of mine before know that I love a bit of chaos. I'm happy to answer questions, make it more specific to you, make sure that you are really well looked after in the time that you've invested with me. I really appreciate and respect the time that you're spending with me today. So let's get into it, and I want to be really clear who we're for. So remember the Q&A box, right? Who is this webinar for? This webinar is for heads of software and technology companies who have a product or service they want to scale. What I mean by scale is not scaling as a web in relation to a web, but in relation to client acquisition, obviously. But I want to be really clear about that. And when I say scale, and I know where marketers talk about scale, I want to be really clear what that means. What I mean by that is the scale is knowing that you can perform a certain number of actions and get a certain result, and therefore you know that if you do more of these actions, you're going to get more of these results. Okay, so that's scale, what I think is scale. And then it also means that you can scale down, knowing you can reduce, you can turn the tap off a little bit, get less water if production is struggling to keep up. And that's when you've got a business. That's when you've got a machine that you can dial up and down that level of new lead, new sale input, and also without breaking the machine behind it. Putting more leads and more activity. I was just talking to a client. The MD, I was in the sales meeting. We're running about 100 leads or so a month for that company. They do cybersecurity and apps and a whole bunch of technical things, like a lot of you do. And they were talking about, and so we're generating about 100 leads, and the MD asked a great question, which was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how busy are you? And the salesperson said 10, but it's a good 10. And the good 10 is they've never had more leads to talk to, never had more opportunities to talk to, never been more focused on the job of doing sales, not all the other nonsense that seems to crowd in, because the world, the universe hates a vacuum. And so if salespeople are busy, they busy themselves with a whole bunch of other non-sales related tasks, and like an unwalked dog, they're going to chew the couch. So what we want to do is make sure our salespeople and our revenue generating people are busy doing the job and keeping the main thing, which is sales. Don't worry, not every point of my webinar is going to be so long and drawn out just on one sentence. The idea is to give you as maximum value as possible. So need to generate more leads and close more sales, obviously. Know the most predictable way and reliable way to grow their business is through a well-executed sales and marketing plan. If that's not a given for you, you might be in the wrong place, because you need to create a machine, like we talked about scale before. A machine that brings in sales and closes deals is the best way to grow your business, and the most predictable way. And then building that machine. And one of my clients talked about plumbing. It's a mechanical process. It's a plumbing process. It's not just arts and crafts and putting up TikTok videos. It is an ROI-based activity. So what we'll be talking about today is maximizing your ROI on marketing activities, maximizing your ROI on sales activities, and maximizing your ROTI. This is a term I picked up from Bob Urachuk. He was the founder of Velocity Selling. I was the CEO of Velocity Selling. Bob was voted in the top 10 global sales gurus for about 8 years running. And I ran his sales. I ran the business for him for a couple of years. We were working with Fortune 500 companies overseas and also here in Australia. So return on time invested, because money comes and goes, but time just goes. You can't get back what you did yesterday. So make sure the time you're spending on leads, marketing, sales, all of those types of things are of highest possible value. When I was a salesperson back a long time ago, just doing sales, I found myself more effective the fewer leads I was trying to nurture at one time. The quicker you can either connect with the person and have them say yes or no, the better. And really, even if they say no, you can put them back into the nurturing system and let the automation manage it until they come back. And quite a few of you joined the webinar today, probably from past webinars or past email communication, and also on LinkedIn. And so, we may not necessarily be in a full-on sales conversation, but you've joined today to learn something, and hopefully I offer value. And if you are at that stage where you are ready to talk about doing sales marketing in your technology business, I'd love to help you out. So it needs to be, so me phoning everybody on my database, my many thousands of people on the database, would be a very poor return on time invested. All right, who am I? So let me start with, so I started my first software business when I was 22. That's a lot of years ago now. Always been the sales and marketing person, worked with some incredible marketing people over the time, worked with some incredible technical people, grew that business to around about revenue about $10 million. We diversified, and we were doing software, we were doing custom software builds, we were doing B2B, really large corporate consulting level software, about 70 people at the peak of the madness. And so over that time, I've had a lot of experience, sold it all off and downsized and got rid of some of the non-performing functions and people and parts of the business about 8 years ago. Took a year off when I thought I could not retire, but take it easy after about 12 months, or about 10 months of living in Bali, surfing and trying to surf. It was not stimulating enough. So we moved back here. I was invited back to help a friend of mine out with his sales room. And since then, I've been doing consulting. 4 years ago, started a marketing business to support my consulting, which was, I was building sales teams in software and technology businesses, consulting a strategy for software and technology businesses, but then we would bolt in market or bring in marketing, and those people were just underqualified. They might be selling toothpaste on a Tuesday, then trying to talk about enterprise data warehouses on a Wednesday. The language doesn't, they just don't, those two people don't, well, that person doesn't have the capability to talk those two different languages to those two different marketplaces. So that's why I built a specialized agency just that talks to software and technology businesses. So that's me, about 26, 7 years in software and tech. What I'd like from you now is, what do you sell? What industry, what function, what I want to do as part of this webinar is give back and answer some specific questions. So if you just want to find the Q&A box, throw in there maybe industry. Hey, I'm in the health and safety, and I'm the programmer. Or, if you just want to say, hey, I'm in health and safety, or we build this, a really great way to think about what you do when people ask you what you do is say, we help X to do Y through Z. Okay. So in my example, I help software and technology companies scale their sales and marketing through content, and advertising. So tell me what you do. People who have attended these webinars before, I do jump in, I will answer questions, and I'll make sure that you have a very clear understanding of, I get a clear understanding of what you do, and I might be able to answer questions live on the webinar. So find the Q&A box and put that in there if you like. I won't wait, but I'll just keep an eye on that as we go. But please do put that into the Q&A box as we go. All right, so talking about ROI, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is the third one here, Jackie Jones, the founder and CEO of Way We Do, which is a software package that helps people do business process. And she talks here in the second paragraph, we focus only on prospects who will be successful with our software, and we know how to handle those and don't quite fit the mold. So Jackie in the previous conversations had said that she's been up at 2 a.m. talking to people in the US, you at universities overseas, and being very, very, they're good business. It's a great business. But she's spending lots of time with people who are unqualified and who weren't really in her perfect target market. She was sort of attempting to cast a really wide net. But as soon as we got really clear about who she added the most value to, or the way we do offer the most value to, she was able to, narrow down and go deeper with those people and create a better business for themselves. Thanks, Nathan. Oh, I know you, Nathan. Hi, Nathan. Thanks for joining. Nathan runs a really great business called Modoc, I think, and he is, yeah, very cool. So you help reduce carbon and water footprint by eliminating paper business cards. That's model business focused on larger corporate expansion. Fantastic, Nathan. And also, I think I just saw you got a big deal with Queensland Government or one of those. So if anybody wants one of those electronic business cards, so you don't have to carry paper around anymore in the networking events, talk to Nathan or message me and I'll put you on to Nathan. So Nathan, I'll definitely want to talk to you about throughout this webinar. I'll bring up ideas and we'll see if we can go backwards and forwards and answer any questions you might have. So David is supporting brands partners to improve brand content to hear a brand story. Yep, brand story is really important. I do talk about story later on, so I'll be definitely talking to you, David, in that. And Sean, definition 24, wise words. Oh, hey, Sean. We've had a few email backwards and forwards. Sean does Wise Words Media. Yep. Video streaming content. Fantastic. Look, I'll try to weave some of your businesses into the conversation today. But now I've got that framework. If I do ask a question, do jump in and say, hey, Matt, how does that apply to me in this context? Let's see if we can really add some value there. So great to see you. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in and making this more of a conversation rather than a TED Talk. I can talk, that's I will go ahead and talk, but if you give me a bit of a few prompts, then I can add more value for you individually. So let's crack the ROI code, the 4 main impact areas. And I want you to keep thinking about this. These 4 key areas are really important. If you continue to think about these areas consistently in context of your business, and you're always doing activities inside each one of these, you can't help but succeed. So let's start with your target market, knowing who you sell to, knowing your target market, identifying your best fit clients. And best fit clients aren't necessarily always name, rank, and serial number. They're not always, mining, but we need to really understand. So who in mining are they? Do you deal with project managers or technical service managers or directors of people, or who do you deal with inside those businesses? And then we want to get really clear on how we deal with those people. And I'll talk about how to really get narrow on your targeting and your communications in the next slide. The second step is your circle of influence. So number 1, knowing who you want to sell to and who they are deep down, not just at the surface level, but really understand how they're measured, what their KPIs are, knowing those people. Your circle of influence. The more people that know you, the more people that can buy from you. That's why influencers are successful in generating money for brands sometimes, because so obscurity is the enemy. So getting yourself out there, networking is really important. And if you don't have well, if you're like Nathan, he's a master networker and master at these types of things. He'll show up to an opening of an envelope. I'm only joking, Nathan. But it's about getting your face out there, getting the brand out there, and getting known. And so, and like I'll say later on, but the best way to make sure you get more attention is to attract more attention. And attention, well, often result in deals. Think about George Clooney. Was he particularly qualified to do tequila? Not really. Might have drunk it. I drink tequila. Doesn't mean that I'm worth $1 billion now because of tequila, but it was the marriage of an unknown tequila brand matching up with George Clooney, and now you've got a brand worth $1 billion. And The Rock has followed that, and a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of distilleries are being very smart, and they're joining up with. They recognise that they can't build their circle of influence fast enough. They've joined up with celebrities, and boom, it creates this thing. Ryan Reynolds, another one with the gin business and the Mint Mobile business and the football business, and he's probably worth $15 billion now because of his influence. He was able to apply his influence, his circle of influence, to those B2C, your business to customer brands. So think about your circle of influence. The more people that know who you are and know what you do, the more likely you are to make a sale. Seems like an obvious thing to say, but I thought we need to say it. Third part is your relationships. How do you build and establish and maintain a relationship with those people that you are trying to sell to? And that is done through content, whether that content is online, offline, face-to-face, email, whatever it might be. You need to build and maintain a relationship and demonstrate that you're a trusted party, and you can do what you do. You can do what you do. And then your offer. You know what? All the marketing in the world, all the impact in the world, and all the relationships in the world mean nothing unless you can make an offer that motivates people to buy. Very few people in the marketplace are just going to show up and go, you know what I need today? I need some, I really need to build out, I need a non-business card, or I need more words, or I need more content. What they need is the end result. And we need to work back from there and joining our end result with what the customer is actually wanting. So we need to make sure that there's an offer there in place. And I was speaking with a client just the other day. He's got half a day, or maybe 3 or 4 clients sitting on the fence. And I said to him, okay, look, let's find the one most likely to buy and make him an offer. And the offer was, I won't go into the detail because I've already burned 20 minutes. I'm like 3 slides in, but I want to give you this idea. Is the offer was simply so we've got a gap in production coming up. We'd like to fill that gap. I really want to work with you. So would you be? I know that you said you were looking to go ahead in April or May or whenever it was. Would you consider bringing that forward to take advantage of a small discount? The client goes, well, actually, yes, because they'd mentally and emotionally made the decision to go ahead. It was just a timing thing. And we were able to bring that deal. It was many, like tens of thousands of dollars of deal. We brought that forward by just saying, hey, we've got a gap. Would you like to fill it? And we'll motivate you by taking a little bit of money off. And we can also, so money is not the only lever here, because money is actually the worst lever, but for that client, it was the right one. More services, more value, more options are also really great, because the more services you can provide, the deeper you get into the organization and the better you're going to be. It's like Nathan, with his CRM integration there. It's not just, hey, we've got a business card, but actually that pulls the data through, and now it's got real use because that information flows. All right, so make your offer. So 4 keys. We're going to talk about the first one, your target market. Clarity is the key. Who do you sell to best? When I was helping, a mate of mine had a business that was providing outsourced team members for marketing businesses, funnily enough. And I would always say to them, well, narrow your field, narrow your market. And marketers are desperately trying to not do that. And same with technology people, typically they go, oh no, we can sell everything to everybody and the whole world is our oyster. And that's fine. That might be the case. But in reality, when people really want to spend money, they want to spend money with an expert, not a generalist. And so when I started when I was coming through and I decided to start an agency, it was only for software and technology businesses. That's the only people I work with. And in doing that, I'm able to produce faster results for a certain group of people and get paid more to do it. I don't compete with the offshore outsourced $12 an hour marketer, because we're not even playing in the same game. So think about your top 5 client organizations and what makes them ideal. Please screenshot this, ask me for the slides, get the recording. I'm not expecting you to take copious notes, but the idea is these are jobs. Like, this is not might be entertaining, but really what I want you to do is get some value out of this conversation. So so think about your top 5 clients. Are they easy to satisfy and work with? Are they profitable to serve? Do they pay on time? What makes a good client? Not just name, rank, and serial number, but how they operate. Their ideal outcomes. Well, what makes clients ideal? How do we build that? Here's a template that I use. Screenshot it or ask me for it. I'll send it to you. Email me to ask me for it. If you send a message here, I'll forget as soon as I shut the webinar down. Write the names down. What do they have in common? Now, this is the time to talk about vertical size, location, complexity, ownership structure, those types of things. That's the sort of stuff you would find on LinkedIn, for example. Why they chose you. Not just referral, because they can get a referral to a lot of people, but why did they choose you? What's the real? And if you don't know, now if people have bought from you, if you've engaged and they've bought from you, there's no harm in calling them up and saying, hey, John, thanks for being a customer. I'm looking to attract more people just like you. Can I ask, what were the 2 or 3 things that actually motivated you to buy from us? Always ask 2 to 3. Because if you say, what's the main reason, they might say price, and that doesn't help. Right? So I want you to think about what's the 2 or 3 reasons. And I actually talk to my kids that way. Hey, what are the best 2 or 3 things that happened to school today? Because you can't get good, you can't get a nonsense answer if you ask for 2 or 3 answers. And usually the first answer is not helping you at all. It's like saying to somebody, hi, how you going? Yeah, good, thanks. So that's not a real conversation. That is a rote question and a rote answer. There's no been exchange of ideas. Obviously, don't say hi. What are the 2 or 3 best things happening today for you? But unless you know them really well. But I hope you get my point. Why do they choose you? Now, the event that triggered the need, this would be interesting for all of you who've answered the question here in the chat box, is was there a particular event? Was there a change of legislation? Was there a new initiative? Was a new green initiative in the business or in the department? Was there something that happened? Was there a new leadership engaged? What happened in that business that had them go from status quo, I'm okay, to cutting over to you and saying, I now need to spend money on this organization? If you don't know it, ask. The best thing you can do is call your clients and ask, hey, was there a particular event that triggered the sale? Asking that type of question is going to get incredible answers. Assumption is the mother of all stuff-ups. So I would be very, very confident that if everybody here on the webinar today, if you all phoned your top 4 or 5 clients and just say, hey, what was happening in the business? What triggered the requirement for you to come and buy from us? You'd be really surprised. You get some amazing insights, and those insights translate directly to your marketing. Competitors you've beaten, of course, where are you vulnerable now? Great thing to ask yourself. Are there other people out there who can do the same job? How can you add more value to the client? Where are you vulnerable? Know that. All right, where are they? They're probably on LinkedIn. Now, quick LinkedIn facts, almost 1 billion people, 200 countries worldwide. Complete and active LinkedIn pages have 5 times more impressions and interactions. There's 40,000 skills, 3 new members every second, and 63 million companies. Your clients are on LinkedIn. Here's the interesting thing though, quick question. Who are the most, or what is the most followed? So a lot of people talk to me about, oh, should I be having a, hang on, is there more things there? Great question, David. You're pre-revenue. I need more context, please. You can just type up a little bit of context there, David, and ask in particular, what do you mean? So yeah, please do that, David, while I'm talking. David just asked, what are your pre-revenue? And I've got a few clients who are pre-revenue and are raising capital right now. So do that, please, David. With LinkedIn, your clients are on LinkedIn. People talk to me about company pages. People talk to me about, should we be publishing as a company? Well, you know what's more interesting in the world than that is people. People are more interesting. What's the highest followed accounts on LinkedIn? Do you reckon it's Virgin or Richard Branson? Do you reckon it's Microsoft or Bill Gates? Well, you know what? It's Bill Gates #1, Richard Branson #2. Their businesses are a very long way away. The most followed person on the most followed accounts are people. So my advice for you is post as a human, share as a company. So you post and then share it onto your company page. People don't care about companies. I have 12.5, almost 13,000 people I've got connections with. 500 people follow my LinkedIn business page, and I don't pay any attention. I don't think it really adds much value. People are more interesting than businesses. I think I've said that enough. Go to LinkedIn, build your profile, become a creator, start a newsletter. I did a whole workshop on LinkedIn. If you want to message me, you want to talk about LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to provide that training to you. All right. Your target market, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Make use of LinkedIn Navigator. Look up people and influence in your target market. Test and measure your outgoing messages. I made a change to one of my outgoing messages last year that said, actually, you know what? Email me with subject line LinkedIn message, and I'll send you my opening LinkedIn message. Although if you recently connected with me on LinkedIn, you might have already seen it. I used that message, and that had a 20% uplift in number of connections. I'm now getting around about between 28 and 35 new connections every single week from my outreach of 100. So I do 100 outreaches a week. All right, your circle of influence. Ted Turner, billionaire. Dad gave him one roadside billboard. Actually, no, it was two roadside billboards. Dad, when his dad died, that was his media empire. 2 roadside billboards. Ted Turner started CNN and is a billionaire, and he talks about early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. If you don't do the advertising bit, you're in trouble. And I mean paid advertising, but you've got to get out there and build your circle of influence. As I said earlier, the only reason you don't have enough sales is not enough people know about you. Understanding, of course, you've got a reasonable product and a reasonable delivery mechanism. So, circle of influence. There's only 3 ways to actually build your circle of influence. One-to-one, networking. One-to-many, webinars like this, and referrals and word of mouth. Now, referrals and word of mouth is interesting. Referrals and word of mouth, I've been really thinking about this deeply. Have a think about the last time you provided a referral. Think about maybe a restaurant situation. Now, let's say you provide a recommendation to a restaurant. You do that. Most of the time, you're going to follow up and say, oh, how'd you go? And the reason you ask that is not because you really care about the restaurant and the quality of food and service, but you want to make sure the person you referred to thinks you're clever by having some insight that they didn't have, and they go, thank you for that recommendation. So with that in mind, how are you getting referrals in your business? Are you making people feel smart for referring you? Are you paying? So by the way, money in relation to referral, unless you're an affiliate marketer, money's like the 3rd or 4th thing that people care about when it comes to referrals. So if you're going to build a referral program or word of mouth program, I would be thinking about how to make people feel clever, insightful, with an inside knowledge, primarily, then money. Most referrals that I get have no financial trade and exchange in that. I don't do referrals. I don't really get referrals based on a financial return. So I know that's probably a bit of a shift because we're commercial animals and we want to make money, but the shift here is make people look good and seem smart by referring your product. So I'm pausing for effect there because I really think that's an important thing to really onboard into your mind. Okay, so I'm just going to check the question Q&A box there. I see. Okay. So David is asking, how do I identify the ideal customer profile if I don't have any clients? So then the thing is, who am I building it for? So so for startups, what I say is, what are the characteristics of the clients I want to have? So you'd be building a product because you've seen a problem in the marketplace. What problem did you see? What solutions exist out there? How they can, at the moment, how are those current solutions solving that current problem? If it's anything to do with technology, it's probably got an Excel spreadsheet hiding in there somewhere, or it's been multiple handling of data. And so we want to make sure that inside that framework, we go, well, how is it currently being done? Who's currently doing it? What's the problems with that? And what do my customers really want? A series of questions. David, email me and I'll send you a template that actually draws that out of people. Actually, I think I might have one later on in the webinar. Not sure if we've got time to go through all of them, but email me, please, David, and I'll give you the exact template I use to draw those exact questions out. And anybody else, and I'm asking for a lot of emails today. I'm signing myself up for a bunch of work, but I want to make sure this is really high value to everybody. Okay. Number 2 here, which is action drives attraction. How do you build a circle of influence? We've broken them up into 3 columns: one-to-one, one-to-many, and referrals or word of mouth. What do we do here? People go, oh, I just need more referrals. Well, are you doing customer interviews and testimonials? Have you implemented a referral program? How do you engage with brand ambassadors? You know, Nathan, you are your own brand ambassador. You're amazing at it. But there are other people out there who can act as your champions, who can talk about your product, who can bring your product to more people. Same with everybody else here. I just know Nathan's product a bit better. Are you able to run a user-generated content campaign? Hey, we'll give you X, Y, Z if you put a certain number of pictures of yourself using your product or the product on Insta, tag me in it, share it with a friend. User-generated content, and host customer appreciation events. And of course, everybody here can do that. We want to launch this. Launch parties, launch events are really, really powerful, because then you get your name in front of everybody. And if you can stand up in front of people on a little bit of a rostrum or a little bit of a stage there and say something, then people are going to look up and they're going to just without, the psychology there is more than other people. And of course, loyalty programs. So, but one-to-many is really valuable. Advertising, obviously, let the algorithm do the work for you. LinkedIn, great platform. Very few of my clients have successfully run advertising campaign before they come to us. Advertising campaigns on LinkedIn, only for really, really high value and high cost, high price products. The most value that I'm running right now with clients is on Meta and Google, but they're separate lines there, and I'll talk about that in a moment. LinkedIn makes money from selling you Sales Navigator and Recruiter and all their other services. So their product is those products. Facebook, Meta's product, is your attention. They sell your attention to advertisers like me and my clients. They must provide a great experience, or they'll lose advertising revenue. And they made about $125 million, I think, in the last 6 months in advertising. So they're doing a pretty good job. And I wouldn't be going back and recommending my current client list of a dozen or so businesses run ads on those platforms, because my clients would sack me really fast if we weren't producing leads for them to actually sell to. Let the algorithm do the work. They're better at it than you. They know more information about your clients than you do. They know more information about you than you do, probably. So let the algorithm do the work. The email is king, highest ROI. Collect an email address, talk to them forever until they unsubscribe. Most people are here probably from my email list. Most people here are on my email list. Push a button, costs $0 to send an email. Email is a king, always has been, and it's an owned media. So there's 3 types of media. There's owned, borrowed, and bought. You can buy media, but the owned media is what you would sell. So if any of you come to sell your business in the future, one of the questions you're the VC or somebody who's going to buy your business is how many people in your database. And if you've not been collecting emails and names and numbers, do it. Start now. I mean, even cafes that I go to, they should be collecting my email address and telling me they've got a cake or a text message. Hey, we've got, they've made too many cakes or made too many pies or made too many what. Imagine if you got a text at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, it's John here from Cafe Blah Blah. Come down and grab an afternoon coffee, pick me up, and I'll give you a free cake. They'd have a stampede. 2 o'clock's dead time in cafes after the lunch rush, and you could probably create a stampede and sell $1,000 worth of coffee and give away a bunch of cakes. Data. Public speaking, broadcast, cold emailing, and messaging, and then, of course, online events is one-to-many. I won't go through all of these. Screenshot it. Ask me for it later. So this is out of one of our reports. A couple of numbers I want you to look at here. Total number of leads generated in 6 weeks was 163. 6 potential leads. Oh, this is for a security business and ISO 27001, like really heady stuff, really deep technical stuff. This is not a consumer product. This is deep stuff. 6 leads, 6 really hot leads in that thing. Sorry, 6 really high intent leads and 15 pretty good conversations to pick up in throughout 2024. That was a 6-week advertising campaign. The salesperson's never been busier, never been more happy, because a good salesperson is like a golden retriever. We want to keep them busy or they start chewing, as I said earlier. this is top of funnel stuff. Doesn't come through straight away. So when I talk about top of funnel or bottom of funnel, this is what I'm thinking about. Unaware of the problem all the way through to refers you. Unaware, how do you deal with people who are unaware? You provide them content like listicles, like a list, the 6 ways you can achieve X, Y, and Z. Listicles, blog post, video, and infographics. Then once they understand the problem, you maybe send them ebooks or white papers, analyst reviews, podcasts, and free guides. So this is about content, right? So then use cases and product brochures. But the thing is, the thing that kills a deal when you're trying to build a relationship with your client is sending out a case study to somebody who's not aware of the problem, or offering a proof of concept to somebody who just maybe vaguely understands the problem. Because proofs of concept, contracts, pilots, those and proposals are work. You have to think about the further down the funnel the person goes, the closer they are to a sale, the more likely they are to do work or read your stuff. Reading your stuff is work, because you know what? I don't want to read your stuff. Most of your clients don't want to read your stuff unless you're really solving a problem. So you got to give them, you got to make you give them really small amount of information, highly easy to digest, all the way through to the deep stuff, which might be a proof of concept later on. Which takes us to, where do you do advertising? Well, Meta, the type of advertising we do is top of funnel, because we want to catch as many people in the market as possible. We want people almost unaware of the problem, because that's where most people are. 60 to 70% of the market are in between unaware and understand the problem, but they're not doing anything about it. Eventually they will. If you've done a good job of marketing to them, they will. So that's a strategic move, is to bring people into your email database and nurture them. A tactical move is using advertising with Google. Like, of course, Meta, you can do different types of advertising and retargeting. That's down the bottom. That's why Google ads are so expensive, is because somebody's typed in, metal business cards, or they've typed in, how do we do, video promotion. But now you're in a bake-off with half a dozen others, because Google's given that information. So to avoid being in a bake-off, to avoid having to compete, collect them earlier, build a relationship. Then you're going to be the only game in town. All right. So we've got to know our buyers and our problems. And so how do we do that? We need to consider their jobs. So your relationships. Do you know what makes your buyers really tick? So here's a really cool way to do that. Think about the people that you worked with. Think about the businesses you've engaged with. Think about the first person you spoke to, not the person who wrote the check or the person they passed you on to, but maybe it was a project manager in that business, or maybe it was a content writer, or maybe it was a really early stage person. They're not even anywhere, they're not within cooee of the person who can actually approve the sale. But that person there, why do they engage with you? Because if you just got lots of those people, then you're going to get the others. The worst thing most businesses can think about is their customer as the CEO. CEO might sign the checks, figuratively speaking. I don't know if anybody has checks anymore, but you get what I'm saying. Approves the PO or whatever it is. They might sign the contract, but they're too busy running the business. They're not looking to solve problems, because they've probably got layers of people underneath them who are solving the problem. It might be through Microsoft Excel. It might be through stitching together various things using Zapier. It might be really ugly and painful and full of hassle over the course of an entire month to do that. But the person you engage with is in pain. We need to make sure we're communicating with them and then giving them the tools to talk up to through the chain of command. And how we find out how those people are measured is by looking on Seek. Type in the job titles of people you're engaging with. Go to Seek, type in that job title, and you'll see it. Seek's the best thing for marketing ever, for buyer profiling, because you'll find out their education level, their KPIs, their experience, everything about that person. That is an amazing buyer profile provided to you for free online every day. If you sell to project managers in the mining space, you look up project manager mining space on Seek, and boom, you will have a full list of exactly who these people are and how they're measured and what they think. Provide a product that solves for that problem, then you'll be able to get more of those types of people. All right, tell stories. Building a relationship without telling a story. I often have some slides about Casey Neistat being a great storyteller. I have slides about how Formula One was stagnant in global enthusiasm. 2018, a TV show called Drive to Survive came on, and that TV show pretty much doubled the viewership of Formula One, and they didn't have any access to Ferrari or McLaren. They only had access to the Alpine, and they're really low in the starting grid lineup. But they told stories. They told the heart-based story, and they told story in 3 parts: current status. And think about every story every Spider-Man movie. We have to find out how Peter gets bitten every single time. We know the story, but we always get shown, because what it does is it's a 3-part story narrative. And our wise words guy will know this exactly, because that's what storytelling is. 3-part is current status, agitation, solution. It's that is every story. You look at every single episode of Drive to Survive, it takes you that this is where we are, this is the pain we went through, we've got the result. Skinny, nerdy teenager gets bitten by a spider, comes across a villain, they have a battle, there's a resolution every time. Now that you know that 3-part narrative, you might be viewing TV a little bit differently. But yeah, the storytellers, and if you can start taking stories into your business, how did you get here is a great story. How did you get here is a great story. There you go, I don't even know my slides. So the problems of industry you saw, how they are solved right now. This talks to David's question earlier. How they fell short, the process you went through, agitation, the roadblocks along the way. What did you struggle with? And how did you solve it? Okay, so obviously a worked example. So what was the problem you saw? So talk to the problem early stage. In every sales conversation, you need to talk to the problem, because people forget. People get in the weeds. What color is it? What CRMs does it connect to? They get really caught in the weeds, and we want to make sure if you've got any type of conversation with a customer, you always start with the problem. And how we engage with that, you might say, I'm continuing the conversation about how we can, help your carbon footprint. Not having a conversation about how I can sell you a $100 bit of plastic. Obviously, you're not going to do that, but you get. Hopefully, I'm using exaggeration to create a point. So, how they're solved now, how they fell short, what process you went through. Tell the story. Tell your journey. That is interesting. When I've sold for clients, and we've sold enterprise data warehouses to the largest mining company in the world, I would start conversations talking about how the owners of the business worked at a business like that. They left the business, came back to the business, made an incredible change inside the organization. They went through the pain, and they had a bit of drama, and how there was challenges along the way. And now they've created a result in which the billion data transactions occur every day inside their database. It's a story. Tell the story. Your technical solution is not that interesting. Doesn't matter how technical it is. Sorry about it. So here's some ways of thinking about it. So this is once again, this is just taken straight out of one of our proposals. Screenshot if you like. Lots of information here, probably breaking every single rule in presentation world. But I wanted to show you that you need to understand who you're talking to, visionary owners. What's the insight we have about that visionary owner, and what's the message focus there? Because the message focus is different for every type of person. So a visionary owner is tasked with strategic operational decisions, limited visibility into trends, risks, and reactive choices. That's not great. But then, so therefore, the messaging is, how will I enhance your decision making? Right. So you need to think about how each one of these is going to help. Come up with 3 or 4 ways that business that people think, and what message you should be telling. Here's another example of how to do that. What 3 questions keep them awake at night? What are they currently doing right now, which is DIY or in-house solution? What's the drawback of using a DIY house and in-house solution? And how do you solve that problem without those drawbacks? Another structure and framework to help you think. I think in boxes. I think in structure. I'm a salesperson, but I have a reasonably engineering way of approaching this, probably because my clients are all engineers. So your relationships. 13 content people read 13 content pieces before they make any purchasing decisions. You should probably be thinking about how many content pieces you've got out there, and how many, and whether or not you own them or somebody else owns those content pieces. quality and quantity. Put stuff out, but make it good. The commitment I've made this year is to only doing webinars, or to doing webinars once a month, every single month, on the last Thursday of the month. Doesn't matter even if it's a couple of hours before Easter holidays. It's going to happen every time, and this creates a structure. Actionable tip: if you've got a database, send them a magic 9-word email. This is the highest ROI email that I have. And the question is, for me, are you still interested in growing your sales and marketing? Question mark, send. That's it. No tech, no design, no cleverness. Subject line is, hey, was John, one question. Obviously, your email system should be able to insert the name. Send it to 10,000 people, you'll get deals. Send it to 2,000 people, you get deals. Guaranteed. Tell me I'm wrong. So if you don't know enough information about your customers, call them up. I've already talked about that. Okay, let's carry on. I've got 10 minutes left. I know I'm speaking really quickly. Do jump in. Happy to carry on, go over time, but I want to make sure that we're tight within the hour here that we've allocated. Your offer. Your buyers have choices. Unless you ask them to engage and buy, they won't. Simple as that. They know you. They think you're a good bloke. But if you haven't asked them to buy, they probably won't. So how do you make an offer? It's not about you. It's about them. It's about helping them get to their end result. Remember, I talked about that deal I talked about earlier, where we help my client bring on that client, bring on their client. So third party removed. Is that they've already said yes. We want to bring them forward. So we've got to create a value piece where they go, yep, that is for me. Make it easy for them to buy. Take friction out of the deal. Reduce the number and size of the decisions. Goodness me, reduce the number and size of the decisions. If you're selling $1 million thing, don't sell $1 million thing. Sell a piece, like one of my clients literally sells $1 million thing. Their first sale that they make is a $9,000 piece of consulting, because they need to be a trusted advisor before they can recommend $1 million thing. So going for sometimes a path to a deal is tangential from where you think it is. Sell them a small piece, prove value, demonstrate capability, become a vendor. Like if you're dealing with large businesses, becoming a vendor is a real pain. And becoming a vendor for software and technology is difficult, because people in software and technology want to talk about those sort of things. But so if you sell them a consulting piece, you're going to be way better off. You need to make it repeatable. The first product needs to be repeatable. All right. Once again, breaking every rule in the book, but I want to give you as much value as possible. Here are the highest ROI offers we use. Number one, this one, educational webinar. Cost me $0 to run. Takes me a couple of hours to do the slides, a couple of hours to get some people to I write the email. We put out some stuff on LinkedIn. We invite people. It's free. Well, no actual cost to me. Highest ROI. Simple as that. Download guides. Every single time we engage with them, not every single time, a lot of the times we engage with new clients, we build a content, or we build a piece of downloadable, useful, valuable, problem-solving document, run traffic to it, trade valuable document for email and phone number, put them into our system, nurture them until they're ready to buy. That is called I think Sabri Subi calls it the larger market theory. I call it planting seeds. The number of people out there ready to buy today is very, very small compared with the entire market. So why not talk to the entire market? Put them in your database. That larger market will eventually become buyers. Templates, checklists, video content, screenshot this if you need to. ROTI, free consultation and strategy sessions. ROTI, return on time invested. Curated newsletters and exclusive content, high return on time invested. Don't need to do all of these things, but but I would suggest doing some of them. Remember, you need to do something in each one of the 4 categories. You need to make sure your target market is really clear, and you're talking to more. Then you're talking to more of them. Then you're building a relationship. Then you're making offers. If you're not doing all 4 every month, you've got problems. Well, not problems. You're underserving your business and not doing your business the highest value you could possibly do. Get a script, but not this guy's script. Your sales script is the best thing you can do, is building a sales script. I use it. I've been selling for 27 years, actually longer. Get a sales script. And I can hear everybody groaning right now. Oh, it makes me feel wooden and, and just not very genuine or authentic. Well, you know what? Talked about George Clooney already. George Clooney makes $20 million a script, a movie, and he's got a script. He's not too good for a script. The only reason you sound wooden using a script is because you're not very good at it. So your job as a business owner or a salesperson is to get better at using a script. Sorry about it, but that is the facts. If you're fumbling and mumbling and mucking around and not getting your words out in the best possible version of yourself, you're doing your customer a disservice, because you're probably selling something your customer actually needs and wants. And if you're not your best every single time, then you're doing them a disservice and you're taking money out of your own pocket and your family's pocket. Simple as that. I couldn't be more firm. I mean, this guy was selling garbage and he had a great script and he made a lot of money. Imagine if he put his mind to and his script to your product, your high value thing. So people go, well, where do I start? You know what? Email me and I'll send you mine. I'll literally send you my sales script with all of the questions I ask in my sales script. It is the script that's probably the structure. Now, obviously, you don't want to sell them, consultancy and digital services and type of thing. Well, maybe some of you do. The script is a structure. That structure has sold more than $100 million worth of products and services over the last 10 years. So ask me for it. I'll send it to you. And people also in marketing, I'll send it to you. You get my script. You basically go word for word. So your offer, A/B testing properly. What I mean by A/B testing properly, change one thing at a time. And every time you change one thing, test it. We got to a point in one of my previous businesses, we were doing Google Ads, which is bottom of the funnel stuff, but we're doing Google Ads. And we were able to halve the amount of money it cost us to do a sale. So we have all the normal metrics about cost per thousand and blah, blah, blah. But ROAS, return on advertising spend, ROIS, you'll see that term a lot if you start thinking about it. ROIS, return on advertising spend, we are able to sell a $20,000 software product, and the advertising cost for that to do ideal was $800. And that $800 produced the 30 leads that we needed to come down to 15 who were qualified, to come down to one person who bought it. A/B testing, and we changed one word in the Google ad. One word made the difference. We halved it from $1,600 to $800. So I know I've been speaking at 1,000 miles an hour. The only I guess prescription is to listen faster, because I can't get all this out in one go. But the 4 impact areas, your target market, make sure you're looking about and thinking about that every single month. Your circle of influence, put more people in your database, get more people who follow you online, make sure more people know about you in your target market, connect with more people on LinkedIn. You've got to build that, have to. If you're not building that every month, you're going to atrophy and you cannot make more sales to fewer people. I get beggars belief that people think they're just got to build the next feature and the world will be the path to their door. It doesn't work like that. Your relationships, build and maintain and strengthen those relationships with those people by adding massive value first. It's as Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a marketer from the US, said, jab, 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 right hook. Those jabs are value, value, value. Ask, not buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Here's a free download that's about buying my stuff. Don't make your white papers and ebooks a thinly veiled brochure either. That'll break trust. You need to add actual value. Hopefully I've added some actual value today. That's what I'm trying to do today, is give you as much as possible out of my brain, because I get paid I give away all my best ideas. I get paid to implement. My whole business is an implementation execution business. My best ideas, I've given them all away. And ask people to buy. Ask people to do something. Ask people to take action. How many times today have I said, if you want that document, email me? That's an offer. So these are little offers. Do you want that? Message me. I'm going to ask you, why do you want it? I'm going to send it to you. So, by the way, why do you want this? We're going to generate a conversation. I'm sort of feel like the magician showing you the behind the scenes here, but anybody who's got even like some sort of connectivity between what's occurring in the world and their impact on it is going to know that if you engage with a business, they're going to want to engage with you. Hopefully that makes sense. Listen faster. Thanks, Nathan. I try to get some dad jokes out there. So it's time to stand out from the crowd. We need to make sure that we are adding value to our target market. This webinar would not be interesting to people who are in the logistics space, who are trying to sell trucks, maybe, but not much. I know that I stand out in the software and technology world because I know a lot about it. You want to talk to me about enterprise data warehouse, you want to talk to me about SOP software, you want to talk to me about AI-driven scoping and discovery products. I've actually got quite a lot of insights into those. I don't want to talk about it because that doesn't help make a sale, but I know it. And when we do marketing, we do sales, and when we build out structures of the plumbing inside a business, we know that we can deal with that. We've got a couple of minutes, one more minute. Often clients get stuck in the answering questions loop. For example, do you guys use, or do you use Google Cloud or Azure? Now, that is a question that the client might ask of you. And let's say you do provide that type of, you provide a product that uses those services. It's not a really relevant question, and it might be a trap. And the trap might be, we only use Azure. So if they say Google, we're out. But it might be a trap. Or it might not be, it might be genuine curiosity. So this is how I want you to answer. But you've got to have the context to understand it. Look, we've got a number of ways of dealing with online storage. Do you have a particular preference? Oh, we've got to use Azure. Oh, okay, why is that? Oh, because this, and security, and we're a Microsoft house, and blah, 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 blah. Now you know more about the business. Because if you said Google, they go, oh, well, I can in my mind switch off. I don't need to talk to Matthew anymore. He's not qualified. But in reality, most people who do that type of product can use any, doesn't matter. So it's time to stand out from the crowd by having a good base of understanding, and then making sure you understand the quality of your quality of questions determine the quality of your outcome. I'll say that again slowly. The quality of your questions determine the quality of your outcome. So just get better questions. Are there any questions? Oh, feels like I'm going to now harass you for asking crummy questions. That's probably should have thought about that. If there are any questions, I've been answering them as we go. Email me, more than happy to answer them. We've got a couple of minutes here. If you don't ask, you don't get. While you're typing there, I'm going to make you another bonus option offer. The first one was, do you want my script? Well, actually, I've given you a whole bunch of options throughout the webinar, but if you want my script, I'm happy to send it to you. If you want to find out how you actually fit with those, oh, thanks, Tony, appreciate it. There's 4 key areas. We've talked about that a lot. We built an online scorecard to ask you about 25 questions, about 25 questions. And each one of those questions has a weighting, and it comes back with a score about where you sit across those 4 key areas. And then we'll email you a report that actually tells you you are at 67% in this particular area. So it's pretty good, but have you considered A, B, and C? And so what this report does is actually gives you reasonable structure. Once again, I get paid for implementation, not ideas. So put your details in through this. So go to scorecard.techtorque.co, grab that, go there, fill that out. You'll get a score across the 4 key areas, and you'll also get a set of recommendations of what to do to bolster that score. And the last one is, if you found value in this conversation, you'd like some help with finding your path of least resistance, you've got some questions you haven't been able to ask today because I've been talking too quick and the idea comes in and out of your head because I've just overrun the whole thing, or you're thinking too much about Easter eggs, book in a call with me. Just send me an email. Hey, Matt, love to catch up with you after Easter. Find out. So what are we going to do? 45 minutes, we're going to do a sales and marketing review. How are you currently selling? How are you currently marketing? Any Q&A from the session, examples of successful campaigns and templates. I've got all the templates, all the campaigns. A lot of them you can go, here you go and do it. Because, well, I've done a lot. I've spent many, many years consulting to many software and technology businesses. So there's very few businesses that come to me with such a wildly unique offer or wildly unique product that I've never marketed something like that before or sold something like that before. And I'm going to make some recommendations. And the cost is free. because my job is to give you as much value as possible until you can't not want to engage with my business. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Hope you have a safe and happy and great Easter. Really enjoy these sessions. As you can probably tell, I can't stop smiling. If you've got anything else for me, you want to send me an email, it's matthew@techtorque.com.au. Thank you very much, and here's to your success. Bye for now. See ya.